Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all having a great day. Today I'm very excited because I'm going to be playing another round of my TBR game called TBR Trouble. If you have just stumbled upon my channel or you do not know kind of what my game is, TBR Trouble is a game that I created in the beginning of last year, and then I hadn't played it for a really long time. I hadn't really uploaded it on my channel, and I just recently brought it back last month, and I am so excited to be playing another round. Now, before I get into the fun part, which is the roles and picking out the books that I'm reading next month, or this month, I wanted to do a little bit of an update of the books that I was supposed to read last month, and kind of if I completed and what my thoughts are. So these were the 4 books that I was supposed to read last month. I don't remember what the prompts were that I had to read these for, but if you want to see what the prompts were, then you can click on my video from last month if you also kind of want to see a little bit more of how the game is played. Now, I'm going to actually talk about them in the order that I read them, because I did read all 4 of them, which I was really happy about. So the first book that I read was The Tourist Attraction by Sarah Morgenthaler. I loved this book. I think I got it 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed this. I would really recommend it. It was definitely a cozy read. I live in Wisconsin, so I was reading it during the snow. During a snowstorm. So this takes place in Alaska, and our 2 main characters are Graham and Zoe. Graham is a local who kind of swears off all tourists. He ironically named his diner the Tourist Trap because he thought no one would come to Alaska to his diner because he kind of treats them like crap, but they love it. And then we also have Zoe, who spent all of her past few years I think, but has always wanted to go to Alaska, and so they kind of somehow end up meeting and blah blah blah. I really enjoyed this, had a really fun time. I think there's a companion book to it. I don't think it's a sequel. I think it's a companion, kind of like a spin-off with some of the other characters in this book, so I'm definitely going to check that out. The next one that I read was Bad Bachelor by Stephanie London. I loved this one. I believe this one got a 4 out of 5 as well. If you want to know, I use G from Book Roast. I use her, is it called a cow pile? I don't know. I use her Google spreadsheet. But this is about a guy named Reed. It takes place in Manhattan, and he is a PR genius, they call him. So his job is to fix people's images, but his image is not really doing good right now because of a app called Bad Bachelors, which basically ranks all of the bachelors. I don't know if it's just in Manhattan, I think it's just in New York actually. But because of this, his work is being affected, and so is his personal life. And then we also have Darcy, who is a librarian at a failing library, and so they have to come together and work together. And I really loved this. I loved the dynamic between Darcy and Reed. There are some steamy parts in here which I was not expecting, but it was really fun and I really enjoyed reading it. This one I believe also is in part of a Bad Bachelor series by Stephanie London. The mass market paperback copy is a completely different cover than this when I searched this up, but I am interested in reading the other 2 in the kind of series of Bad Bachelors. The next book I read was Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I knew I was going to love this one, and I did. I'm totally going to read this and mark it up sometime soon, hopefully, but I really loved this. If you do not know, this is about a guy named Alex, and he is the first son of the United States. His mom is the first female president. He is having problems with Prince Henry of England, and so they have to come together and have a fake friendship, and it turns into something else. And I really enjoyed this, and this one got a 5 out of 5 stars. The last book I read was The Crown's Game by Evelyn Skye, and oh my god, did I love this. This book is actually pretty old. I think it came out in 2016. It's been on my shelf for a while, and this takes place in Russia around the Ottoman Empire, and our 2 main characters, Vika and Nikolai, are both enchanters, so they can do various enchantments. Vika is more in tune with elemental enhancing, and Nikolai can basically walk through walls and kind of see through them, so his is more industrial, I guess you would say. But basically their whole life they've been being trained, and for why they think it's just to be the Tsar's first enchanter or personal enchanter, which is true, but they did not know that there is something called the Crown's Game, where basically it is a fight to the death and only one enchanter may remain. I absolutely loved this book. This got a 5 out of 5 stars. And I immediately bought the second book because it is a duology, which is The Crown's Fate. And so I'm hoping that I can fit this in this month. It's hopefully coming tomorrow in the mail. And if I can't fit it in, oh well, but I would love to. I will read it anyways, but I really recommend it. I just loved it. And I'm so glad that I finally read it because it's definitely become one of my favorite books. So I'm just going to stop talking and we're going to get into the rolls. So let's go. Alright, so last month we ended off on the LGBTQ plus categories. That is where we're going to start. And this month I have a yellow guy. So let's just get into with roll number 1. Roll number 1, we have a 1, and because we landed on the silver circle, we have to roll again. We have 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, so we have a contemporary romance. Okay, so roll number 1, we first got a 1, which brought us to the roll again spot, and so we rolled a 4 and landed in the contemporary romance. So I will be picking from both cup 2 and cup 3. We're first going to pick from 2, which is the book tropes. I do want to say, if you have any prompts ideas for any of them, please let me know down in the comments below. I have book type, I have book trope, I have the setting of the book, I have cover details, and then I just have like completely random ones. So I'm always trying to improve them and find new ones. So we have star-crossed lovers. Okay, and then our settings. Set in school. So we have star-crossed lovers set in school. So I don't really know if they are considered star-crossed lovers, but I'm kind of going to go with it. And that is Of Curses and Kisses by Sandhya Amnon, who is the author of When Dimple Met Rishi, which I have not read before. But I'm going to consider them to be star-crossed lovers because they hate each other and they want revenge on each other. So this takes place in St. Rosetta's Academy, so it takes place in a school, so that works out. Princess J.L. Rao, who is the princess, and then we also have his lordship Grey Emerson, which Grey Emerson is such like a powerful name. I don't know why. I love that name. And he is an English nobleman, and basically the whole gist of it is they don't like each other because I think the prince was really rude to her little sister, because they have a centuries feud, so he steps up to target her little sister, and she obviously does not like that. And so basically she wants to revenge him, and obviously we know how that's probably going to go. So that's all I really know about this book. I don't really want to know too much about it. This was 100% a cover buy when I was on Book Outlet, because look at this beautiful cover. That is going to be the first book that I'm going to be reading this month. Roll number 2. We have a 3, 1, 2, 3, so we have to roll again. And a 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and another contemporary romance. Roll number 2, we first got a 3, which brought us to another roll again, so we got a 4, and it brought us to another contemporary romance. So this one has to do with the settings and a cover. So back to settings. Settings I think is the worst for contemporary romance books, just because, I don't know, I just feel like it is. So the setting we have is it's set in summer, and then the cover has to have more than one person on the cover. I think we're going to be going with a reread here, which is fine because I've been wanting to reread this book so I can mark it up, and that is Well Met by Jen DeLuca. I read this one, I want to say maybe this time last year. So this is a really fun book. So this takes place during the summer in Willow Creek, Maryland, and basically Emily is the main character, and she has to move back home because her sister got into a car accident, and so she has to basically come home to take care of her niece, and that involves working at a Renaissance fair where she meets the other main character, which is Simon, and his family is basically the one who runs it. And it was really cute. I really enjoyed it. There is like another like companion book to it that I definitely want to read, but I'm fine with this being a reread because, like I said, I wanted to reread it anyways, and so I will have fun getting to mark it up. So roll number 3. We have a 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have a fantasy. For roll number 3, I got a 5, which brought us to fantasy category, and since I rolled a 5, I get to pick any of the cups, and I think that I'm going to pick from the random cups. So there's just a bunch of random prompts in here. Okay, we have a pet pick. Okay, I'm picking probably, actually I'll do 3. We'll pick out A new one I have is a Lady Rogue. Put the Crown's Game in there in slight of the Crown's Fate. A Court of Thorns and Roses because Valentine's. So let's go. Okay, so I have treats. There's guineas. There's Willow. Sit. Sit. Willow. Sit. Okay, really? Okay, as you just saw, it didn't really help. So my one dog Willow chose the Lady Rogue, and then my other dog Guinness chose a Court of Thorns and Roses, and they pretty much chose them at the same time. So what I decided to do, instead of just picking the one out of these two that I wanted to read the most, I'm going to draw another random card, and then whatever matches the closest I will read. I don't want to pick a favorite out of the two because I feel like that would be me picking a favorite out of my dogs. So we have favorite author. Okay, I would not say that she is my favorite author. She is one of my favorite authors, and obviously because I have read a bunch of her books compared to never reading anything by Jen Bennett, we're gonna go with A Court of Thorns and Roses. So far we have 2 rereads this month, which I mean I'm kind of okay with, but also let's get some that are not rereads in the next one. This will be the last roll unless I get another 4. So roll number 4, which I did. I just jinxed myself. 1, 2, 3, 4. I pick, and as well as I have to add on a roll number 5. Okay, roll number 4, we got a 4, which brought us to the I pick category, which means I get to pick any of the books that I want depending on what the prompt is. And so because we picked 4, this is going to be solely based on the cover. Got this little cup, so it says a weapon on the cover. In between these two, so we have this one, which is called The Bone Crier's Moon by Catherine Purdy. I got this in a Berry Loot box. I think it was like either March or April. And this, it has to do with French lore, French myth and lore. And then we also have one that I probably should read, which is Rebel Spring by Morgan Rhodes, because I've only read the first one of this series and I do really like it, and I have the second and the third one here. And there's obviously a weapon. I think I'm gonna go with Rebel Springs because I feel like I need to read this one. So for the I pick with a weapon on the cover, we're gonna go with Rebel Springs. So final roll, we have a 3. 1, 2, 3. So a fantasy. Roll number 5, we added another roll. So this one we rolled a 3, which brought us to fantasy. So this fantasy is a setting. I have hope though that I can fit the Crown's Fate in, but it is all up to fate. So we're going to choose a setting. So for the setting I chose is set in a castle, which is perfect because we're going to choose Crown's Fate for that. Because I don't know if the whole thing takes place in a setting, but or setting in the castle, but a majority of the ending, and I'm assuming the way that the second book is going to go from the first book, that it's going to take place mostly in the castle. So I'm very excited. So we will be, ooh, I just ripped it because I was so excited. So I will be choosing The Crown's Fate for my 5th and final book. Alrighty, so this is what the books I will be reading this month look like, except obviously this is The Crown's Fate, not The Crown's Game. So we have a good mix. We have 3 fantasy and 2 contemporary romances. I think that I can finish these. I know I for sure will be able to finish this one super fast because I read it in like 3 hours. Same with these 2. The only one that I think will give me the most trouble is Rebel Springs, but I'm very excited. So we got a good mixture of books this month. Alright, so that has been my February TBR Trouble. I hope you guys really enjoyed. Let me know down in the comments below if you have any prompt ideas for me. I would love to hear your suggestions because I kind of want to go through and reread all of them and like decide what I want to keep and then add a whole bunch because I think the more the better, honestly. As well as let me know kind of what your thoughts are on any of these books. Let me know what books you're reading in the month of February. But other than that, please subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this video, and you want to see more from me in the future. If you do want to see any of my other TBR troubles, I will put the link on the screen or down below, or even just check my channel out and you can find them there in my playlist. So I hope you guys all have a great day, and I will see you guys for my next video. Bye.